All right. So we're live. So welcome to another Run Wild with Us, Ask Us Anything. I'm Lisa Kastner. I am the founder and executive editor of Running Wild and Rise Presses. And I'm here with you typically with some of my fellow acquisition editors on Thursdays between 5 and 6 p.m. Pacific time, 8 and 9 p.m. Eastern time to basically answer any old questions that you may have. It can be around writing, the craft of writing, the book industry, the broader storytelling industry, whatever you want. And um, to be honest, right now I'm house sitting with four fabulous pups, and they do not like it when I am not paying attention to them. So if I suddenly turn and I'm like, no, don't do that, or something like that, believe me, it's all meant in a positive manner to help these lovely dogs in their I don't know, daily uh, exploits. So anyway, for those of you who may not know, I do have a book coming out on October 3rd, and as a part of the book coming out, it will I am actually going to be doing a couple of appearances. The first one is going to be at this amazing bookstore in Encinitas, and Artifacts Books, and the author, the bookstore owner, Greg, is just phenomenal, and I get the pleasure to do the bookstore opening at Artifacts with the fantastic Jonathan Mayberry, who's a dear friend. I've known Jonathan for over 20 years. Poor thing's known me over half my life, and we are going to sit around and BS, and which is something we're great at doing together. And we would love you to join us. And it's on, I believe it's on October 5th. Actually, let me just double check that it is, that I am telling you the right thing. So actually, yep, it is at Artifact Books in Encinitas, starting at 3 o'clock, ending at 5 o'clock, and it is for the book cover that is, or the book that's behind me, called Family Pack. Look it up. It's under my name, Lisa Diane Kastner, as well as under a pen name of Callie Metis. So definitely come and check it out. And here I am with Ben.
Good evening.
Hey, how are you doing, young man?
I am doing all right.
Oh yeah, what have you been up to?
Nothing, but that's that's good.
That's a
That's okay.
lie. That's a lie. You're never up to nothing. You're always up to something.
Oh,
Please.
just looking around, typing up stuff, editing stuff, teaching
Yeah,
stuff.
teaching stuff. Okay.
But
Let
there's no hurricane blowing in on me, so I'm okay.
I was gonna say, yeah, you're not in Florida, so you don't have a
Yeah.
hurricane. Yeah. Well, that's
Peter
good.
Peter said it was a lot of wind today.
I was gonna say I haven't seen Peter today, and I was hoping he'd join us because he spoke at an MFA last night, actually.
Oh
And
wow.
yeah, so I wanted to hear about his little speaking engagement, because
Well, yeah, of course.
I'm sure he rocked the house. I mean, because that's what he does. So
Yes.
so there. And Teja, Caroline both say, hey guys. As always, it is fabulous to see you.
Good
Um,
evening.
huh?
I said good evening to them.
Oh yes, good evening. And Caroline says, wondering how Peter is. So based on the conversation I had with Peter, which was last night, he's doing really well. But I don't know, Ben, have you talked to Peter today?
Oh, I think I got an email from him this morning, but I think he sent it last night and said a lot of wind.
Okay, all right,
Yeah,
good. Well, a lot of wind's not so bad. It's when your
yeah,
roof goes away with it. That's when you've got a problem.
that's that's not good.
That's not good. No.
Put that in the not good column.
Yeah. So fingers crossed that he is not
Yeah,
going to officially register on under the not good column. So,
yeah.
And then, and TJ says, "Ahoy, the Western Shore! Ahoy, TJ!" And Caroline also says hello, and Carol, hello. Wow, you guys are all bringing it in. Woohoo! It's awesome to see everybody. It's so very cool. I was just going to mention that. So originally we were going to actually do our acquisition editor session today or yesterday actually, and we have now put it off to October 14th, just because it turned out we had, let's just say, a lot more submissions than we had originally anticipated, and I just wanted to make sure everybody had a chance to go over them. So I'm going to say what I always say, which I'm sure is like a if you haven't heard from us, that's actually a good thing, right? Because typically, what'll happen is I'm usually like one of the first people to go through them, and if it's a definite no, for whatever reason, whether it's not a complete story, there's a lot of craft that needs work on, or maybe it's just not right for us, whatever it is, right? Then typically I'll just go ahead and reject it. And anything that's a maybe or a yes, those will actually stay in our buckets for consideration. So if you haven't heard from us, that means that most likely your piece is marked as a maybe or a yes. So again, all great stuff. CJ says, "Hey Lisa and Ben, good to see you." CJ, woohoo! Awesome to see you as well. As always, always, always. Um, we are actually going to have some really cool announcements in the coming weeks. I most recently I've been working with someone who basically creates websites that are represented to represent various authors, and I'm actually meeting with him tomorrow. So our authors, keep that in mind. I've also been talking to a variety of small business, I guess you could say, companies that benefit small businesses. So, believe it or not, Macy's has a program specifically for small businesses so that they can highlight products and services by small businesses. And if they feel like the product aligns well to Macy's offerings, then they'll look for a reason to partner with that company. So, we were actually recommended, Running Wild and Rise was recommended to submit to that program. So last night I spent quite a bit of time uh, working on our submission. So I should have that into Macy's in the next couple weeks, hopefully. We were also accepted, and I don't know, Ben, if I don't remember if you heard this from last week, but we had been accepted by the Los Angeles Urban League has a program that they are one of the three primary companies driving it. It's called Intuit Ideas, and what that does is it gives they basically give me a coach, a leadership coach, I guess you could say, as well as we'll also get a business coach, and we'll get all this free software for a year. And uh, they also, because they're familiar with our business, so we're one of 50 in the Los Angeles area, and then there's going to be 25 in Philadelphia area and 25, I believe, in the Atlanta area, who are all going to be part of the same program. And since they're already familiar with the different companies, programs, and services, what they do is, or what they've been doing, is like forwarding to me other programs or other companies they think that would be good for us to collaborate with or for us to submit to. So, which has been fantastic. So I've just been really trying to knock like all that stuff out. So
That's good.
yeah, absolutely. It's wonderful. And Cree says, bonjour. Bonjour, Cree, as always. It's fabulous to see you. Um, so Caroline says, oh, yes, Skip is tearing out his hair trying to work with WordPress to create my author website. So Caroline, hopefully I'll have something to share with you tomorrow or after tomorrow. So I'll be sending something out after I meet with the lovely gentleman whom we've been working with. So to our authors, he honestly, he went through our entire catalog and I'll share with you with what he's developed. So which is great. Um, Also, I thought this was kind of crazy. I was looking at like year to date um, book sales this year compared to last year, and our book sales have tripled uh, this year compared to last year. Now, I'm sure it's in part because we've also published a lot more books in 2024 than we did in 2023, or launched, I guess is a better way to put it, right? But it's also because I got to give our authors a ton of credit. A lot of our authors either they have a background in marketing and publicity, or they have also hired marketers and publicists to assist them, not just in their book launches, but like in ongoing activities. So one thing that I've been doing is making sure that, like, if the author is going to have like a speaking engagement series, or if they've won an award or they've been nominated for something or what have you, then I make sure to forward that on to our account executive or our account representative with our distributor, so that they can then take that information and share it out to all the major retailers and bookstores to kind of help encourage them to acquire that book or and other books by the author. So, um, which, by the way, if you are an author, that that honestly, I really do believe that that kind of, I guess, what you could call networking is so important. It's one thing if you and your friends and everybody who went to the same MFA program you did, or who's in the same writers group as you are, knows that you're fabulous. But really kind of putting your name out there and making sure, excuse me, that you've submitted to different like awards, or to be on panels, or for people to know or become familiar with your name and your stories. It is so helpful. And as people become more and more aware of who you are, then going back to your distributor, going back to your publisher, going back to whoever it is that you have worked with in the past to get your writing out there, um, again, let them know, because if they don't know, don't assume that the whole world will know, by default, that you've been nominated for something or you've gotten an incredible review. Assume they don't, and then, put the word out there. So I don't know. So that's my diatribe for today. I don't know, Ben. What do you think? What do you think's like really helpful for an author when they're getting when they're starting out, I guess you could say?
Yeah, I think it's you got to start with your own network, but then tap into the networks of the people in your network, and grow it out. And there's no, I don't think there's a bad idea. I mean, there's ideas that don't work as well, but for somebody else, they work very well. So it's follow other people's examples, but come up with your own examples, and look for those places. We've talked about it before, how local libraries and local English teachers and local writers and readers groups are very rich in the love of books. So talk to them and share your ideas and steal theirs.
And don't forget, I think a lot of times writers spend so much time focused on networking within the writing community, they forget, like, not all readers are writers, guys, right? The reality is that you want to go to book festivals, and you want to go places, excuse me, that don't necessarily have anything to do with books, but it has something to do with, whether it's the story that you're telling. Maybe it has something to do with your background, maybe it has something to do with the type of narrative that you're into. So, like, I gave this example previously. We're publishing a book by Scott Levitt, his memoir about that's centered around, or the central theme of the narrative of his memoir is around his experiences as being Spider-Man, basically, right? And all the different elements associated with it, and how that, having that as a core theme within his life, how that impacted him personally as well as professionally, and so on. Well, you know, we could have said, you know what, Scott, we're just going to focus on just on your regular bookstores, right? But instead, what we did is said, you know what, why don't we go to some like Comic Cons and see if any of them would want to partner with us on, like, may on either whether a VIP ticket of some sort, or maybe it would make sense for you to have a table, right, at a Comic Con, and where either you can give away or you can sell your book, that kind of thing. And like, even for us, the American Library Association's conference, right? It's enormous. I think there's over like 100,000 attendees. It is crazy. Now, on the surface, you would say, well, Lisa, you don't run a library. Why the hell are you going to the American Library Association, right? Well, there are tons of different vendors that go to the American Library Association and conference, and all you've got to have a great pitch, right? You've got to have that log line set up. You got your either free or give or books that you're going to pitch, and it's a great way to get a sense of like what books are selling well or doing well at libraries, if you're there with the book that you, or the books that you are representing the most, that year or in the coming year. So it's actually a great litmus test to see how will this play out, or how could this play among libraries in different communities. It's also a great way to find out how are the libraries acquiring books, like how are they making decisions regarding that, and how can you influence it, right? Because like one librarian, he flat out said, look, a lot of times they'll make purchasing decisions based on what novels or what storytellers the kids are coming in and asking for. So, like, an example, a very old example, would be like J.K. Rowling, right? So when J.K. Rowling started getting hot, then all of a sudden it became, all right, well, let's look for middle grade science fiction fantasy, or fantasy, right? That has, different like common plot themes, right? That kind of thing. And and that's how they were finding their new authors, their new storytellers. So, going to like an ALA, especially for an author, can be a great way to influence who picks up your book, and influence even, and finding out like how can you pitch your book so that they have a greater interest in looking at it. Does that I hope that made sense. But I mean, Ben, you're a professor, right? You work at a university. Do you know how your schools make make the book acquisition decisions?
But usually it's textbooks through the chair of the department. But
Oh,
as far like over in the English department, that's those professors are making their choices based on what's available, and they like to update them. They don't like to stick with the books. They like to keep it fresh and pull in new novels for students to read and evaluate, and get into a deep reading. So the professors are doing it. And so if the professors, tap into their network, because they know other professors that are doing the same thing. And what a great place to sell 30 books for one class to read your work. And that's one shot. And it's then they take it home, and they've got students have networks, and they say that was a great book we read in class. And so that's just one more way to tap into a network. And I was reminded when Lisa was talking, I was reminded of Far Out, how through social media, which, sometimes it's hit or miss with social media, but Far Out caught the attention of a readers group in Louisville, and they ordered it for their summer reading, one of their summer reads. And it was rewarding for the author to see that happen. So, oh wow, this is growing out from into the hands of people I don't know, and that's who you want. You want the people you don't know to pick it up, because your family's going to get it either way. So if you don't have a huge family, you have to reach out for people you don't know, and make sure that they know it's out there. And I don't know, sometimes entering contests or putting your book out there in contest gets expensive, because they will charge you. But if it's a good book and they get you a good review, it may be the right investment. That's going to be a personal decision for your work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Caroline Davenport says, also talk to people. As an author, have your book on a business card. Give them out. Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, the business cards that I have, it's a picture of me, just so that, like, I'm not going to assume anyone's going to sit here and say, oh, I remember her, right? With my name, some key points about my background, and a QR code. And the QR code takes you to my website. And so that way you'll get the latest and greatest in terms of the books I've written, the books I've edited, where my tushy's been, all that kind of stuff. And I really think that investing in something like that, so it's more of like a long term, can be really, really, really beneficial. Otherwise, you're going to keep, like, buying a box full of business cards, and if you're not able to distribute them, then you're going to end up tossing them, right? So instead, just cutting to the chase and getting that QR code so that it takes them immediately to whatever site that can then act as like a central repository or central location for all of your activities is really, really smart. So, and I didn't come up with this, by the way. I ripped off someone else.
But you can stick those cards in the book, and if you have it at a reading or at a Comic-Con, and somebody picks it up and it's got the QRC code, you may just have sold another book and in the series of Cure.
That's true. That's true. Well, and actually, so to your point about series, I did hire a publicist to help drive publicity and sales and so on for Family Pack. And one thing that they pointed out to me, and 100% right, because it's a series, part of the book launch is either giving away the first book, Cure, right, or offering it at a discount, like 99 cents or something like that, like an ebook version or whatever. Because what happens is, and what I actually found, this was it fascinated me. When we were getting reviews, a lot of the reviews that were coming in were like, hey, I never read Cure before, and now I really want to read it. Like, I want to have that, like the backstory to Family Pack. Not that Family Pack isn't a standalone; it is a standalone, as Ben knows, right? But you know, they became fascinated with the characters, and so they wanted to find out, like, hey, how did all this begin, right? Because there are references to activities that were initiated in Cure. So if you do have, well, honestly, and it doesn't even have to be a series. It can be, if you write in a variety of genres and you have other books that are in a similar genre or in that same genre, it's smart that when you're launching a book, to offer that book at those other books at discounted rates or in some kind of like package deals, right? That's another thing that people really enjoy, is if you do offer, like, hey, buy if you're going to a conference or a festival or whatever, you can get these 2 paperback books or these 2 books for $10, right? For you, it basically will most likely end up being at cost. But if the whole point of it is for it to be like a marketing tool, that's great, because back to both Ben and Caroline's points, you want readers, you want people who love story to get, your backlog, to, deeply dive into them and then come back and say, "Oh my God, these are fabulous," and share it with their friends. So, hey, Peter.
Hello, hello. How's everybody doing?
Awesome. How are you doing, young man? How are you?
Good.
How are you making it through the hurricane?
Actually, we're in the northeast side of Florida section, so we're getting bands, but the main hurricane is heading up into the armpit of Florida, so it really beat up Tampa,
Okay.
Tampa Bay this afternoon. So it should hit landfall around 2 p.m. this morning Eastern.
Mhm.
So far we're doing good.
Woohoo!
Mhm.
Good.
Well, fortunately, we're prepared for it, but there's stuff blowing up and down the street like crazy. We got horizontal rain and stuff, so it's exciting.
Yeah. Horizontal rain is definitely exciting.
Exactly.
Definitely. So, guess what you get to do?
What's
You
that?
get to tell us about your speaking engagement last night. I want to hear all about it, man. How'd it go? Tell.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah?
I talked to him on a Tuesday night, maybe half an hour, maybe 35 minutes or so, talking about our press, about the awards we've won, and how we approach our methods of editing the different novels, and did a lot of breaking. Got some great questions. One of the questions was, how do we choose the titles for the books? So I said it's really a collaborative process between the author and the editor, as well as the publisher, to say what would work best for this scenario. And they came up with a couple of examples of, remember Delivery used to be the Untold Tales of a Pizza Delivery Boy. And we turned it into just Deliver, had much more impact, much more powerful of a title. So it was very interesting. Got a few good questions. It felt good to be on a par with the instructor and the other writers in the room, because I know that she's a top-notch instructor. Connie Mae Fowler is her name. She was one of the teachers at DCFA for me. But it was fantastic. It was really cool, fun, easy to talk, which, for me sometimes is hit or miss. But I just, sort of picture like I talk to you guys, just sharing information. I did say that we have to take a test to be editors at this press. Got a couple of questions out of that.
Did you tell them what it is?
No, I didn't.
Because sometimes people don't believe me.
How would you edit this? Well, first we take out a big black marker, cross out all the lines.
Stop.
And when I run out of ink, that's where the story starts.
Exactly. So.
Sorry. I have 2 dogs right now who are like, "You must love me."
Dogs and cats? Wow.
No, just dogs. I'm house sitting.
Oh, okay.
And so there are 4. Believe it or not, they are 4 award-winning dogs. So they're and they're normally very well behaved. But I think I'm
calculus or something. What?
They're what do you call it? They're bred dogs. So
show dogs.
They're all show dogs, yeah. And normally, they're usually very well behaved, but I think I'm Auntie Lisa. So as soon as I start talking to someone else, not them, it becomes a hey. So,
awesome.
Anyway, so I wasn't ignoring you. I was like, okay, I love you now. Go away. To the dogs, not. Anyway, sorry.
No. So it was a good conversation. Got to go, over the stuff that we do here as a press, and how many books we publish, how many books we have published and plan to publish. In the poetry, creative nonfiction, and fiction. It was really, really cool to talk up our press, because we've really put a lot of work into it. Mostly you have, but we've done our share to kick out some really fantastic books. So
I think we all work our asses off personally. I really do. I'm so honored. I think we're like a community that we just kind of keep growing. well, we're like, hey, look, we're snobs, and this is how. And then people come back and they're like, I'm the same way, and it's like, oh, okay, cool, awesome. Come
Yeah.
come join our snobbery. So
Yeah, I love it when the authors come back to us 2, maybe 3 times, and one has come back 4. So we've got to take a look at his books, and my vote is already in without even reading them. You know that for sure.
oh yeah, totally. I mean, honestly, I'm the number of authors we've had who come back to us, and actually, because I had to like catalog all the names of the authors that we've published in our anthologies.
Mm-hmm.
The number of authors that we've published in our anthologies as well as in long form and who like keep coming back, it's crazy. I
Really?
mean, yeah, people and typically what happens is they'll come to me and say, you know, I either they really enjoyed working with us and they felt like they got a lot out of working with us that they didn't get from other publishers. And again, believe it or not, a lot of times I hear that from authors who are with one of the who were with the bigger houses, and because oftentimes, like, unless they immediately know that this is going to be a big hit, right? It's kind of like a here, okay, look, you're done, okay, bye, right? Like, and then that's it, right? There's no additional conversation, there's no collaboration, or it's just a tell, like, go do this and then get out of my face because I have to move on to my next thing, you know.
Right. Very much a process as opposed to an art.
Yeah. And I don't I when you get through all of the submissions that we've had, you may notice we've got several who they're already New York Times bestsellers. They're already award winners, right? And they're pretty blatant about the fact that, like, either like a friend of theirs recommended them to work with us because they work with us, and or the genre that they have sent to us, they know that they're, you know, the larger publisher would not have an interest in publishing them, and you know, and yeah, and it's typically something where they're really what I would call like a crafter, right? Like they want to play with craft, they want to play with narrative, and that's what this piece is that they've sent to us. And so, I mean, there's some really exciting stuff that we have in our submissions list. So,
well, it's kind of cool because, like you're saying, you know, published authors, bestsellers can write outside of their own genre, and maybe even use a nom de plume and still see how well their books go. Like Stephen King did with I forget the pen name that he used, but Richard Bachman. That's it. To see how well they'd go fare as a standalone work of art, work of publication. So that's also why I don't look up who my author is, what they do, if they're a PhD in physics or a PhD in literature. I just look at it like just another book, and we're just going to talk about this, and we're going to make it better using your words. So that generally tends to work out pretty well.
Yep, totally.
And also, like I was saying the other night, is that I mean, the authors that we work with on a multiple book level, their editing tends to get less and less as we go by book because they pick up the comments that we make, and they hear the questions in their mind while they're writing or while they're editing that we've given them, so that it becomes that much easier for them to write at a elevated level.
Oh yeah.
I was going to say the same thing about the short stories that we see, because a lot of the authors are the same, and it really forms a relationship where they know me, but I know them as well. So I don't have to second guess or think, what are they doing? Where are they going to take me? Because it's kind of the foundation is already there, and I know, okay, they'll take me there. They'll get me there. And so it's good to see the short story authors come back in a different anthology as well.
Well, short stories are a much more intense editing focus, because you've only got so many words, you've only got so many pages, and you've got so much you got to accomplish with that it's a completely different art form than the novel or the essay.
Oh yeah.
for sure. I mean, I got great admiration for that editing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, and it's funny because some of the best authors I know today, and the most prolific, it's because the editors who, like, I guess you could say, broke them through, gave them certain tips and tricks and like areas to focus on within their own writing that, Peter, to your point, like, they now hear that voice in their head, like, as they're writing, saying, like, oh, don't forget, you need to do ding, 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 right? And so they either make those changes during the initial draft or in subsequent drafts. But yeah, I mean, I honestly, I know that for a lot of authors, or aspiring writers, it's painful to get feedback, right? But if you've got a really great editor who understands that this is not about me making your writing my writing, it's about us collaborating and making this the best piece that it possibly can be, right? Then that feedback is going to be such that, although it may take you a long time to get through it, right, to make those revisions, but you will be so much happier with the piece when you're done, right?
Exactly. Yeah, like,
go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, well, I'm working on the fourth draft of one of the novels that I still find interesting as all get out. And the author has made a lot of changes that I like, but she's also slipped into a little bit of bad behavior or bad writing in terms of drawing out scenes when they don't need to be drawn out. They're trying to build up tension when just an initial bang flash should happen, and then we need to talk about it. So it's like I'm getting to talk with the author at a higher level because of the first round of edits that she's gone through. So it's really neat. I try to keep the fourth draft as simple as possible, but I'm finding with these novels that I'm really enjoying and really admiring the writing. I'm even going for another full line edit and full length editorial process. So and it comes out for sure.
And honestly, a lot of the novellas that we receive, I'll oftentimes go through it, and I want to say maybe 50% of them, I'll go back to the author and say, you know what, you can make this a novel, and this is how. Like, here are the key narrative storylines, or here comes some key themes that you may want to expand upon, that you could really take this to a whole nother place. Exactly. And so, we've actually gotten quite a few of those authors have taken it to heart and done exactly that, and come back with like really gorgeous novels. So
awesome.
Yep. Taking it back to like the whole networking thing. So Caroline also mentions, you want to talk to everybody. She talked to a man who was holding 2 books, standing behind her at the pharmacy, waiting in line, just as she was, and a great opening to give him her business card with the name of her book, cover, Running Wild, and tell him a story of the book. He was excited and was getting ready to go out and order that book. And actually, I mean, yeah, why not? Why, especially if you have a novel or a story that has a specific, again, narrative themes or storylines. Like right now, we're hitting Halloween season. If you wrote something that's more along the lines of dark fiction, or some kind of well-known narrative that falls on the lines of those, like mythology, that kind of thing, use these opportunities, right, to go out there and get that word out. So absolutely. Caroline asks, are they snuggly? Talking about the dogs I'm house sitting. They absolutely sometimes are a little too snuggly, like in the middle of the night. Like, I let them sleep with me in bed, and every once in a while, one of them will decide that they need to like be like up against me. And let's just say, boy, do I wake up. So but yes, they can be very snuggly. They are not standoffish. And right now one of them was just whining because usually between like 5 and 6 o'clock, maybe 7 o'clock, I outside and I toss balls with them so they get some exercise and they get to play a little bit, you know. So behind me, as Peter was talking, one of them was whining, and I look, and they've also been hoarding two things: balls and my socks. Uh, balls, because if they hoard the balls, then I think the assumption is I can't go anywhere because I have to find their balls, right? So she had one of the balls in her mouth, like, okay, you can come out now, right? And my socks, in the first thing in the morning, I go out to work out at, like, 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, and I'm guessing they're stealing my socks to try and keep me from leaving the house. So I just have to learn cats don't do these things, so I have to learn their ways as I'm pup sitting. But yeah, they can be snuggly. Anyway, this is one of those, like, huh?
You're trainable.
Obviously they're trainable. I mean, they seriously are.
I think he meant you're trainable.
You are trainable.
Well, only my husband can speak to that, but I'm assuming I am, otherwise they wouldn't like me. So anyway, what's like the favorite book that you guys have read in the last couple months? Do you have one?
I've been knuckled down in editing. I've been able to pick up a book. I was reading one. Give me a minute. I'll remember the title.
I made the mistake of picking up Ulysses by James Joyce.
How dare you?
And I'm getting through it about 10 pages at a time.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It is avant-garde from the early 1900s, and you jump in, you just got to hang on because there he goes. But it takes a little concentration. What's he saying? What's he talking about?
I've been reading Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, and it is freaking hilarious. I'm just putting it out there.
Only on Running Wild Press can you go from Ulysses to Attack of the Killer Tomatoes in the same discussion. You gotta love us.
Well, now we have to find someone who will somehow integrate Ulysses and Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. I'm just saying.
It's a given.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Although I found myself dreaming about The Great Gatsby. I have no idea why. It just popped in my head, but oh well. And there were no CBDs involved or any other form of stimulant. So I truly don't know why, but hey, Adepsky. Do you guys have any favorite, like, either writers groups or readers groups in your area that you frequent? And if so, like, why do you love them?
There's the only writers group I know, or readers group I have here is the Women's Club of Flagler Beach, and that's not that writing isn't my cup of tea, so I tend to avoid that. But my mother was an active member of the group. I myself am much more of a hermit here.
How about you, Ben?
I was included in an anthology, Holes in Our Hearts, by some veterans writers, not veteran writers, but writers who are veterans. How about that?
Got it.
You know what I mean? And they have a group that meets at the VFW right down the street, but it's on Friday morning, so I haven't been able to grow it out to go to their meetings, but they're there. I just teach on Friday mornings when they meet. But they're a good group to be in because of the stories they tell, and from the veterans' point of view, it's. I went through through Army boot camp with a bunch of Vietnam veterans as the training cadre, and their stories stick with you anyway. But to listen to them read and see the emotion they write with is very rewarding. And then, of course, I've got to explain to them. For those of you listening, I was in the Army first, and then spent 20 years in the Coast Guard, and so I have to explain to Department of Defense military members what the Coast Guard is, and that we do exist.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's the 5th military branch, but especially in New Mexico, is that one weekend a month? No. But it's good to be around those storytellers, and so very, very rewarding to hear. Of course, it's rewarding to hear any other writer. It's part of that, read to write, you've got to read, and to read, you got to write. And so it goes hand in hand to listen to them.
Yeah, so it's interesting because like there's a Horror Writers Association of Los Angeles, and it's this. What's fascinating to me is that, and I've been to a few other writers groups where it's really both a reader and a writer group, right? Like they're both fans of varieties of forms of writing and writers themselves, which is like awesome. And the other thing I love about the Horror Writers Association is everyone's openly not just a horror writer, right? Like they are openly read multiple genres, write in multiple genres, like to play. And not all writers or readers groups are like that. Some are very much like, no, it's all romance, damn it. Or it's all, fantasy, damn it. Or whatever, which to me is, and this may just attest to the fact that I drink too much coffee, but that's just boring. Like, why would you only want to do this, right? Like, doesn't that get old? I don't know. I just, I think, I guess I'm not easily amused. So I just get bored way too fast. And it's like, I can't stick around here, guys. I'm going to go over here and play. So, so what is a Coast Guard then, young man? Since you brought it up, what do you people do? It's not every other weekend.
What coast are you protecting in New Mexico?
That's where retirees go, and they walk in from the coast, and somebody says, "It was you carry the oar, and you walk in enough inland that somebody says, 'What is that?' Then you know that it's time to stop. You can stop now."
That's how you find where you're going to retire.
That's how you find your retirement home when they don't know what an oar is.
That is awesome.
I actually joined the Coast Guard in New Mexico, which was pretty
okay.
Cool. I may have been one or two who did.
Okay. So
no, I met them.
What is the Coast Guard? What do you do?
It's search and rescue along the coast, and aids to navigation, so boats know how to get home, and military or maritime law enforcement, so we make sure the turtles can get out of the shrimp nets.
Oh, okay.
And oil spills. We've got a bunch that would respond to oil spills.
Okay.
So it's a good organization, and if you cook. Right now, if you want to join the Coast Guard and you want to learn how to cook, they will give you a $40,000 bonus right off the street.
Good Lord!
And if you have a degree in culinary, they'll give you $50,000. So they're hard up for cooks.
Okay. I think I'm too old to do this.
They may waive it. If you can cook, they may waive it.
Wow.
No, it was a good 20 years from Cape May, New Jersey to Washington, D.C., to California, Seattle, New Orleans. I was in New Orleans for 6 years, and then
wow.
Long Island. But,
I love Cape May. I didn't know you were from Cape May.
Yeah.
Cool.
Once I got there as permanent party, I went through initial training there, but when I went down as the permanent party and was stationed there for 18 months. It was nice, except in the summer the tourists parked in front of your driveway and you couldn't pull out. They just parked in front. Well, there's a place. Let's block them in.
Yeah, why not? Screw them.
Yeah, somebody stole my bicycle there once.
Really?
Yeah.
That's not cool.
No.
No.
Yeah.
Well,
Wawa, the Wawa store. You know the Wawa.
I know Wawa. I love Wawa.
Yes.
It's not the Wawa it was though when we were. No. But
you used to go in there just to smell it because it had coffee and fresh bread. That smell. So hey, I'm just here for the smells. It's like going into the boot store.
That's hilarious. Well, you mean the real boot store where it's leather?
Yes, the real boot stores, like in New Mexico.
Yep, totally. Well, I want to remind everybody. So we have rescheduled the Running Wild Writers Retreat in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, to June of 2025. So it's June 5th to the 8th. Yep, June 5th to the 8th. So if you are interested, all you have to do is submit like 10 to 15 pages and we'll review it. I believe the cost is $9.99, so $999. It's actually in this like high-end spa. And
really?
Yeah.
Who chose a location?
What a location. Who knew?
Who chose a location?
Oh, who chose it? Teehee did because he knows the owner, and the owner gave us this great rate so that we get the whole spa. Like literally it's only going to be running this retreat there from the 5th to the 8th. So but yeah, if you guys are interested, come go ahead, ping me to find out how to submit put in your submission. And it should be a lot of fun, and B, it'll be great because you get to work with either an award-winning author or with myself and or Cody, who I hear we're pretty good both as writers and as editors. So definitely just ping me if you're interested, because I think our submission deadline is in the next month or two. It's just to make sure that you have enough time that you'll know that you've been accepted, so you can get all your flights in order and all that kind of stuff. So but yeah, definitely check it out. I'm really looking forward to it. I really think this is going to be fantastic, and I honestly wouldn't be surprised if it sells out, because there aren't that many seats to it in terms of people who can join us. So definitely ping me. Which reminds me, and we only have 8 minutes left. Don't forget, if you are watching this and it is the recording, then all you have to do is, if you have a question or a comment or what have you, go ahead and toss it into the comments section of whatever venue you are watching this. And we always go back and check during the week, and we will respond to your questions in the subsequent time. And I did see in this last week, we had a few people comment, "Oh darn, I always miss this. I always miss the live version." Yeah, sorry guys, but the great thing is that it is recorded and you can go back and watch the whole back history. So and just see us, blathering on and on, or me blathering on and on, whatever. Hopefully you find value in it. So actually, so I've got another great question. Well, I don't know if it's a great question, but I've got another question for both of you. So I know all three of us have MFAs. One, what inspired you to get an MFA? And two, how did you pick the MFA that you went to?
Go ahead, Peter.
What's that? Did I get served up?
You totally did. He totally just like wussed out.
Because your story was better than mine.
I knew I wasn't done learning. I went through a program, a 2-year certificate program of University of Chicago. And I mean, great program there. It was 1 night a week. You had to qualify to get in. And I learned just a ton of stuff. And the director of that program at the time was a student at Vermont College of Fine Arts. It's my alma mater. And I'm like, I need to go to a low-res program because I don't want to be full-time in school. Mm-hmm. So VCFA, Vermont College of Fine Arts, and Warren Wilson were the 2 top low residency school. And for the past 10 years at least, they've been battling for first and second. Sometimes first, sometimes second. So I applied to both. And the director wrote me a fantastic letter of recommendation. I had some other teachers from the program write me. So I was able to get in and just loved every minute of it. I mean, the University of Chicago program was fantastic. It was a blast to learn all that. But VCFA for 2.5 years was just, I claim it's the easiest thing I've ever done, but I mean, it wasn't work. It was so much enjoyment the entire time, editing or commenting on other people's manuscripts, bettering my manuscripts. And there was a tipping point during the second semester that I just fell into a groove, and my writing, all the bullshit that was bogging me down just kind of fell to the wayside. And I really just started, I mean, that's where my 30 seconds came from. That was my MFA thesis for creative writing. That's where that came from. So yeah, still involved with the school. Like I said, the talk I gave the other night was for a former teacher at that school. So I still think it's a fantastic institution.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, wussy boy. How about you?
Well, it was maybe a process of elimination, a series of rejections along the way, and then the University of Tampa came back and said, "Yeah, we're interested in your work," and that was after rejections from Eastern Kentucky and Texas El Paso and New Orleans, the University of New Orleans, But then Tampa came in with the low residency that fit the schedule, and 2.5 year program. We go January, June, I guess 6 times. But worked with some great mentors there. Sandra Beasley is a tremendous poet, and Alan Michael Parker is he's cross genre, and Donald Morrow was on staff there at Tampa. But the program is gone. They don't have their MFA anymore. They still have the undergraduate creative writing, but not the master's.
So you went there, graduated. They said that's the best we're ever going to be able to do. Shut the door.
I wasn't going to say it myself, but thanks for picking up on it, Peter. That's exactly what happened.
We're never going to get any better than Ben, so
let's close it down. We'll name a building after him.
Hey, why not? It could happen.
Yeah, but it was a good experience, and I was looking for never stop learning, and it was actually my 7th degree after high school. After high school.
Wow,
that's impressive.
It was the 3rd master's, but
okay,
after the doctorate. But anyway, and I still had some military GI money to spend, and I couldn't leave that on the table. So it all came together. And actually it really changed, not necessarily what I write, but how I write it. And the formatting on the page, and to think about the writing and do deep reading to get ideas from what other people are writing. So I would recommend it if you can work it into your schedule, and the writer, even the network around the other creatives that go there, it's worth it. That's to share your writing and talk about writing with writers is always good.
Wow, great stories. Excellent. Well, and with that, I think we're just about done. So I want to thank everybody for all your fabulous commentary. As always, it is wonderful to see you guys. Ben, Peter, you guys, as always, absolutely fantastic. And I can't wait for our next get together where we get to sit around and talk more and take on different questions and commentary. So, with that, all right, so we'll see you guys next Thursday. Cool.
Cool.
Awesome. Bye, guys.